Have you ever caught yourself sitting in silence, staring at nothing, feeling heavy, tired, or distant, but not knowing why? You're not crying. You're not angry. You're not even sure you'd call it sadness. You just feel off. Like you're floating slightly outside yourself. Still here but not quite present. If you're over 60 and you've felt this way, I want you to hear something clearly. This isn't weakness. It isn't failure. And it isn't just aging. It's a message from your nervous system. I'm depleted. You see, your brain doesn't just need thoughts. It needs fuel, real, emotional fuel, to produce the very chemicals that keep you feeling steady, motivated, connected. And for most men I meet in their 60s, that fuel has been missing for years. It's not your fault. No one told you that low mood could be linked to breakfast. Or that your irritability could come from missing magnesium. Or that feeling numb might have more to do with your gut than your mind. But once you understand what's really going on, everything changes. I'm Dr. Catherine Rocker, and after 30 years walking beside men through brain fog, burnout, and emotional fatigue, I can tell you with complete certainty, your brain can recover. Your mood can lift. And better days are absolutely possible. In this video, I'll show you 5 everyday foods that help rebalance your emotional chemistry, calm your nervous system, and help you feel like yourself again from the inside out. Because sometimes the most powerful antidepressant isn't found in a bottle, it's found on your plate. Let's begin. Most men don't realize how silent the shift can be. You don't wake up one day feeling deeply depressed. It's subtler than that. You just stop laughing as often. You feel less excited to answer the phone. You stop calling old friends, not because you're angry or sad, but because nothing feels urgent anymore. It's not that you don't care. It's that your brain is slowly shifting into survival mode. And here's what's behind that shift. First, cortisol. After 60, your body naturally produces more stress hormone and clears it more slowly. That means even little things, traffic, the news, poor sleep, build up in your system, keeping you stuck in a low-grade tension that quietly wears you down. Second, neurotransmitter loss. Serotonin, dopamine, GABA. These are the chemicals that regulate your mood, your motivation, your emotional calm. And they rely on nutrients to be made, like vitamin B6, magnesium, tryptophan, and omega-3 fats. Without those, your brain loses the raw materials to feel joy, clarity, or peace. Not because you're broken, but because you're running on empty. Third, inflammation. Over time, if you're eating highly processed foods, skipping meals, or dealing with blood sugar crashes, you may be silently inflaming your brain's emotional centers. Especially the amygdala and prefrontal cortex, 2 regions that control how we handle stress and connect emotionally. Chronic inflammation here can make even simple tasks feel overwhelming, and joyful moments feel flat. Lastly, sleep disruption. Poor sleep reduces your brain's ability to regulate emotional reactions. It raises cortisol, lowers melatonin, and robs you of the overnight repair your mood depends on. If you've been sleeping less, or waking up often, you're not just tired, you're emotionally drained at the cellular level. So when you feel that heaviness, that disconnection from the world around you, it's not imaginary. It's not weakness. It's not getting old, it's chemistry. And the good news is, chemistry is rebuildable. In the next section, I'll introduce you to Marvin, a man who once felt like he had no spark left, until a few simple meals helped him feel like himself again. Marvin was 69 when he came to see me, a retired electrician from Ohio. Quiet, steady, dependable, the kind of man who fixed things his whole life. But this time, he couldn't fix what was happening inside. He sat in my office, looked down at his hands, and said, "Doc, I'm not sad exactly. I'm just not here. It's like I'm watching my life happen from a distance." He wasn't crying. He wasn't panicking. But he wasn't laughing either. Hadn't in weeks. He said things that once brought joy now felt like tasks. Getting dressed. cooking breakfast, calling his brother. And the worst part? He couldn't remember the last time he felt anything. I asked him about his days. He skipped breakfast most mornings. Had a sandwich for lunch. Microwave dinner by 5. And coffee, lots of coffee. No protein, no B vitamins, no omega-3s. No real nourishment for his brain or his nervous system. I told him gently, Marvin, your brain hasn't given up, it's starving. So we didn't start with therapy. We didn't start with medications. We started with food. 5 very specific foods. Time to match his natural rhythm: morning, midday, and night. Each one chosen to support mood, calm inflammation, and help his brain produce the feel-good chemicals it had forgotten how to make. He was skeptical. But he committed. And after 3 weeks, he walked back into my office and said something I'll never forget. He smiled a real, soft smile and said, Doc, I laughed yesterday. Just laughed. And it shocked me. He paused. I didn't fake it. I didn't force it. It just came out. And for a second, I felt like me again. That's the power of the right nourishment, not to cheer you up, but to bring you back to yourself. Because mood isn't about pretending to be happy. It's about giving your brain the tools to feel safe, steady, and emotionally present. And now, I'll show you exactly what Marvin ate each day, starting with the 2 simple foods that helped him feel more grounded every morning. The way you start your morning sets the emotional tone for your entire day. And most men over 60? They start with caffeine on an empty stomach, and wonder why they feel jittery, irritable, or flat by 10 a.m. The truth is, your brain needs stability, not stimulation. That's why I gave Marvin 2 powerful breakfast habits. Simple, inexpensive foods that gently nourish the nervous system and help regulate mood from the moment you wake up. Let's break them down. Mood food number 1. Oatmeal with chia seeds. This isn't just a warm bowl of comfort, it's a serotonin-supporting powerhouse. Oats provide complex, slow-digesting carbohydrates that help deliver tryptophan, an amino acid your brain converts into serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitter. The chia seeds add omega-3s, reduce inflammation in the brain, magnesium, calms overactive nerves and supports emotional regulation, fiber, stabilizes blood sugar, preventing emotional highs and crashes. What you feel is a gentle clarity, not a buzz, not a crash, just calm. Marvin told me, I felt steady by mid-morning, like I wasn't chasing my thoughts anymore. Mood food number 2. Bananas with cinnamon. Bananas may seem basic, but they're loaded with the nutrients your brain depends on to stay balanced. Vitamin B6, crucial for serotonin production. Potassium and magnesium, support the nervous system and reduce irritability. Natural sugars, provide gentle energy without the crash. And cinnamon? It's not just for flavor. Cinnamon helps regulate blood sugar, so your mood stays steady, reduce brain inflammation, linked to depression and cognitive fog, support attention and focus throughout the day. I suggested Marvin slice a banana over his oatmeal, sprinkle with cinnamon, and take 3 deep breaths before the first bite. He said, that small ritual gave my brain permission to slow down. These 2 breakfast staples may seem simple, but together, they do something profound. They signal your body that the day ahead doesn't have to be rushed, reactive, or heavy. They tell your brain, we are nourished, we are steady, we're okay, and that emotional message repeated daily starts to rebuild the very chemistry you thought was gone. Up next, I'll show you what Marvin added midday to support resilience and lift his mood, especially when the afternoons felt long. Afternoons can be especially hard. That's when energy dips, focus fades, and the emotional weight of the day tends to settle in. For many men over 60, it's the time they start to feel detached, distracted, or even down, and they're not sure why. This isn't a motivation problem. It's a brain chemistry dip, and it's totally normal but absolutely manageable. That's why I had Marvin add 2 foods to his midday routine, one to nourish his mood, and one to anchor his nervous system. Mood food number 3. Fatty fish, salmon, sardines, or mackerel. Fatty fish is one of the most researched brain foods in the world. And when it comes to mood, it's a non-negotiable. These fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, especially EPA and DHA, which directly reduce brain inflammation, increase dopamine and serotonin levels, improve memory, and protect against cognitive decline. In fact, low omega-3 levels are strongly linked to depression, especially in older adults. Marvin started having salmon twice a week, baked simply with lemon and olive oil. Other days, he'd open a can of wild sardines with a salad. Within 10 days, he said, I wasn't snapping at little things. It felt like there was more space between me and the stress. Mood food number 4. Fermented foods, Greek yogurt, sauerkraut, or kefir. Here's something most men don't know. Your gut makes over 90% of your serotonin. That means your digestion and your mood are deeply connected through the gut-brain axis. Fermented foods like Greek yogurt, sauerkraut, or kefir introduce probiotics, healthy bacteria that calm the gut, reduce inflammation, and support the production of calming neurotransmitters like GABA. The result? Reduced anxiety, better emotional regulation, improved clarity, and mood stability. I told Marvin to have a small bowl of Greek yogurt after lunch, sometimes with berries, sometimes just plain. He could also add sauerkraut to his sandwiches or a few spoonfuls on the side. After 2 weeks, he said something simple but powerful. I feel more even. Like my emotions aren't on a roller coaster anymore. Midday isn't about pushing harder. It's about rebalancing. Fatty fish nourishes your brain. Fermented foods calm your gut and, by extension, your entire emotional state. These 2 additions gave Marvin something he hadn't felt in a long time: emotional resilience. And now, let's talk about the final food, the one that helped him sleep deeper, wake calmer, and end each day with a sense of peace. Here's something most people overlook. Your mood tomorrow depends on how you sleep tonight. Because while you rest, your brain and nervous system go into full repair mode. They sort through emotions, reset hormone levels, and gently rebuild the circuits that carry calm, focus, and joy. But for that to happen, you need a signal, a food-based message that tells your body, it's safe to let go. That's why I gave Marvin a nighttime ritual built around one powerful ingredient. Mood food number 5. Tart cherry juice. Tart cherry juice is more than a bedtime drink, it's a natural support system for your emotional recovery. Just 4 to 6 ounces in the evening provides natural melatonin to support deep, uninterrupted sleep, anthocyanins, anti-inflammatory compounds that protect brain cells, tryptophan, the same amino acid needed to make serotonin. And here's something remarkable. Tart cherry juice also helps regulate your HPA axis, the system that controls your body's stress response. That means better sleep, lower cortisol, and a more emotionally balanced morning. I told Marvin, drink it about 45 minutes before bed. No added sugar. Just the real, deep red kind. He started sipping a small glass while reading, not rushing into sleep, but easing toward it. And after a week, he said, I'm not tossing anymore. I fall asleep quicker. And in the morning, I don't feel heavy. That change was everything. Because once sleep becomes a space for healing, mood isn't something you chase. It's something that returns naturally. This final food gave Marvin more than rest. It gave him emotional rhythm. It allowed his body to process the day, and start the next one with clarity, calm, and confidence. And next, I'll show you what happens when these 5 foods become your daily rhythm and how quickly your mood can shift, often in just days. One of the most common questions I hear from men is, will I feel a difference? The answer, if you stay consistent with these 5 foods, is yes. Not all at once, not like flipping a switch, but more like turning up the light, one notch at a time. Let me walk you through what most of my patients, like Marvin, begin to notice. After 7 days you start waking up with less heaviness, there's a little more mental space between you and your stress, mood swings begin to soften, you feel steady even if life hasn't changed. You have Marvin told me, I didn't wake up cheerful, but I didn't wake up irritated either. That was a win. After 14 days you start laughing again, not forcing it, but feeling it. Conversations feel easier, you reconnect with small joys, music, sunlight, Familiar faces. Emotional resilience increases. Stress doesn't knock you down as fast. Another patient, Leon, 72, said, "I didn't cancel plans last weekend. I actually wanted to go." After 30 days you feel like yourself again, but more grounded, more calm. The fog lifts. Motivation returns. You no longer manage your mood, it just flows. You trust your emotional footing again. Marvin put it best, "I didn't just get my mood back. I got my spark back. And that changed everything." What you're experiencing isn't just emotional recovery, it's biological recovery. A nervous system that's no longer running from crisis to crisis, but instead resting, nourishing, and responding with balance. And when you feel better from within, everything around you becomes more livable and more lovable. Next, I want to leave you with one final message: the truth behind why this works, and why you were never broken to begin with. Let me say this as clearly and kindly as I can. You're not broken. You're not failing. You're not too old to feel good again. You're just undernourished emotionally, chemically, and spiritually. Because the truth is, your brain doesn't stop producing joy after 60. It doesn't forget how to feel peace, or curiosity, or connection. It just gets tired. Tired of being fed caffeine and sugar and loneliness. Tired of being ignored while you push through your days on autopilot. Tired of surviving instead of living. And here's the good news, it's not too late. With the right foods, with rhythm, with care, with intention, your brain remembers how to feel calm, how to sleep well, how to respond with laughter instead of withdrawal, how to carry light again. So I want to invite you, gently, to begin. Start tomorrow morning with oats and chia seeds. Slice a banana. Sprinkle cinnamon. At lunch, open a can of salmon or enjoy some sauerkraut. In the evening, sip tart cherry juice and let your nervous system soften. Don't do it perfectly. Just do it consistently. Because the goal isn't to be happy, it's to feel real again. To return to the version of you that smiles without trying. That feels connected. That knows how to say, "I'm okay." If this message spoke to something in you, if even one part felt familiar, I'd love to hear from you. Type the word uplift in the comments. Not for me, for yourself. As a signal that you're choosing better days. I'll be reading. And I'll be walking with you. I'm Dr. Catherine Rocker. And I believe joy isn't a luxury, it's biology. And it begins one bite at a time, one breath at a time, one day at a time. You're not fading. You're rebuilding. And I'm honored to be part of that process.